If you want to give yourself the best possible chance to find the rental of your dreams, especially in cities with crazy competitive markets, then consider going unfurnished. In today's video, I'm sharing my top tips for furnishing an apartment in Mexico, and I promise you, it's not as overwhelming as it seems. For the best advice about moving to Mexico, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified when I upload a new episode every Thursday. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and if you've been here before, welcome back. My name is Alex, and I moved to Mexico from the US in 2017. I've called Queretaro home ever since. I already have several videos on my channel that talk about apartments in Mexico. But in today's video, I'm answering your questions about inflation in Mexico, the state of the rental market in Queretaro Centro, and how to go about furnishing an apartment in Mexico. You ready? Let's dive in. How concerned should renters be about inflation in Mexico? This is an important topic, especially if you're going to be moving to Mexico on a fixed income. When we signed our first lease for this apartment back in November 2017, the rent as stated in our contract was 10,000 pesos per month. The following year, it increased to 10,800 pesos per month. And when we signed our lease, our third lease in November 2020, it increased again to 11,500 pesos per month. And that's what we paid for the past year. I fully expect for it to increase this upcoming November when we sign our fourth lease. So again, something to think about, something to consider, especially if you're moving to Mexico on a fixed income. How much does it cost to rent an apartment in Queretaro Centro? Just the other day, I was chatting with Yvonne from Host Relocation about all the new people moving to Querétaro, and she said she has never seen higher demand for rentals in the center. I really do not want to be the bearer of bad news, but I've got to be honest, I've got to be straight up with you. There are not a lot of properties, not a lot of rental properties up for grabs in the city center. And with that high demand and not a lot of properties, landlords are really able to name their price in the city center. The current rental market in Queretaro Centro isn't all that different from the one that I found myself apartment hunting in back in 2017 when I moved to Queretaro. If you've watched my video about how I found my apartment, it's a crazy story. You should definitely check it out if you haven't seen it yet. But when you watch that video, you will learn that initially I really wanted to find a furnished apartment. That's what I had in Madrid, and I just had this idea of arriving to Querétaro, setting my stuff down, and just jumping into my new life here. About a week into apartment hunting, that became pretty evident that I was either gonna have to sacrifice the idea of a furnished apartment or sacrifice my ideal location, which was here in the center. This apartment here is exactly what I had envisioned when I was imagining my life here in Mexico, minus the fact that it wasn't furnished. If you're thinking about moving to Querétaro and have your heart set on living in the Centro, I really want to encourage you to consider furnishing an apartment. That will really open up a lot more possibilities for you, especially in such a highly competitive rental market. The day we moved into this house, everything that we had brought with us to Mexico, all our worldly belongings here in this country, fit right here where the coffee table is. Right here. I'm talking 2 suitcases and 2 backpacks. When I went to bed that night in this basically completely empty house, there weren't even curtain rods on the windows. When I went to bed that night on an air mattress, by the way, I seriously wondered if I had made a mistake. Was I in over my head? But looking back 4 years later, I can honestly say that everything worked out for the best. In fact, I really do attribute furnishing this apartment with our own stuff is one of the reasons that I'm so happy here in Mexico. It really feels like our own space. I really feel comfortable here. I really feel at home. That little story about our first night in this place is to let you know that I totally understand how overwhelming the idea of furnishing an entire apartment, especially in a new to you country, can feel. I've been there. My goal is to demystify furnishing an apartment in Mexico and show you what a manageable, budget-friendly undertaking it can actually be. Tip number 1, start by imagining a day in your life. When we first moved into this apartment here in Queretaro, I was feeling really overwhelmed by the tasks of buying absolutely everything for the house. What did I need? Something that really helped to make it more manageable for me to kind of cut back on that overwhelm was to sit down with a pen and a piece of paper and imagine a day in my life, a typical day in my life. For example, my thought process went a little bit like this. I wake up, I make myself a cup of coffee. Okay, I need a coffee maker. Go through your whole day that way, and it will really help you to prioritize what is the most important, what are the immediate needs for your house. Let me say that one again for the people in the back. Prioritize. Prioritizing is so essential, not only to cut back on that overwhelm, but also to make sure you don't blow your budget on day one. Remember, you don't need to buy absolutely everything all at once in one Amazon Prime order. You can do a little at a time. Same goes for furniture. Don't feel like you need to immediately furnish every room of your house just because you don't want to see an empty room. That is a surefire way to waste money and to buy things that you ultimately don't really like. Hold out for those pieces that you do really like. Hold out for the things that are going to make your new apartment feel like a home. When you are buying things for your house or for your apartment, especially if you're someone who is just moving to Mexico for a year, a couple of years, you're not really sure how long you're gonna stay. If that's your situation, when you are buying things, I want you to weigh whether or not you should purchase that item based on how much use you're gonna get out of it while living here in Mexico. Don't think about how you are going to get it back to the US, how you're going to get it back to your home country. Really weigh the value based on its use to you here in Mexico. Tip number 2, get an Amazon Mexico Prime account. Amazon is a great place to shop for basics and jumpstart furnishing your apartment in Mexico. In fact, when I was furnishing my kitchen, buying all that stuff for my kitchen, plates, silverware, all that good stuff, I actually bought a lot of things, a lot of those basics from the Amazon Basics collection. And even though they were on the cheaper end, my plates, my silverware, all that stuff is still holding up 4 years later. I have a whole blog post over on backpackingbrunette.com about shopping online in Mexico with a special section dedicated to Amazon Prime in Mexico. Even if you have an Amazon Prime account in the US or in your home country, you will have to open a separate account, a separate Prime account here in Mexico. All the details for how to do that, including how much it costs, which is a lot more affordable than in the US, are in that blog post, which I will link in the description below. Tip number 3, don't be afraid to go used. Some of my favorite items in this house, some of my favorite pieces of furniture are actually things that we bought secondhand here in Querétaro. One of our first weekends after we signed our lease for this apartment, Taylor and I went to a market a little outside of the center here called Mercado de Presidentes. We bought 2 desks there and my adorable little coffee table. Another place that I love for shopping secondhand here in Querétaro is a little spot here in the center called Tesoros. Tesoros, which translates to treasures in English, can definitely be just that. I am looking at my fridge when I say that. One of the reasons I wasn't afraid to go used, to get a used fridge, was because there are so many repairmen and service calls are really, really affordable. A couple of other options I just wanted to note for shopping secondhand are Facebook Marketplace, and in Querétaro specifically, there's a group called Reusers Querétaro. It's a group that you have to join, but it is super, super active, and you can pretty much find anything that you need in there. You might be thinking, okay, Alex, I'm really into this idea of buying some stuff secondhand, to shopping at the market, to shopping at the secondhand stores, but how am I gonna get this stuff back to my house if I don't have a car? Don't worry, there are lots of trucks in Mexico, lots of people with trucks in Mexico, and you are not the first person who has needed stuff delivered. So what I usually do is I will talk to the store owner, talk to the stand owner if I'm at the market, and never in my 4 years of living here, in my 4 years of organizing deliveries, have I ever had someone tell me, sorry, you're out of luck. Usually if that person doesn't have a truck themselves, they have a friend or the friend of a friend, they've got a number, they've got a guy, they'll make sure you get your stuff, and those delivery fees are very affordable as well. Tip number 4, take advantage of Buen Fin promotions. If you want a TV for your house, a good time to buy that is during Buen Fin, which is essentially Black Friday here in Mexico. It happens mid-November. I think this year it's around the 11th or the 12th. And there are lots of good savings going on. In fact, a few years back when we bought our TV, we waited until Buen Fin to buy it. I recommend checking out the sales at Walmart, Soriana, Costco. Those are also good places to look for various home items as well. I've done a lot of shopping, especially at Walmart and Soriana, since moving to Mexico and navigating this journey of furnishing our apartment. Tip number 5, embrace plant mom or dad life. One of my favorite ways to add personality, to add life to your space is plants. And unlike in the US, buying plants in Mexico is super affordable. Not to mention, pretty much everything grows here thanks to the climate. So even if you do not have a green thumb, you can still have a house full of thriving plants without much effort. A few of my favorite places to buy plants here in Querétaro are Mercado de las Flores, which I have featured in past vlogs, Doni, which is a really cute boutique plant shop here in the Centro. I definitely recommend following their Instagram since they do occasional flash sales. And there is a new place here in the center selling plants called Mova. I think I'm saying that correctly. Now Mova also sells pots, macetas, but in general, macetas, especially if you're interested in the talavera, which is the very traditional colorful Mexican pots, those can be kind of expensive. I definitely don't recommend buying them out at Mercado de las Flores because it's like highway robbery. A great place to snag deals on macetas is Dolores Hidalgo, which is a small town near Querétaro, kind of in between Querétaro and San Miguel de Allende. So it's a great reason to take a little day trip out there and buy some new pots for all your new plants. In addition to filling your house up with plants, another affordable way to kind of homey up your space, make it your own, is by getting things framed, putting things up on the walls. Custom framing is really affordable in Mexico. There's a bunch of places just here in the center that do it. I will put an address in the description below of my absolute favorite place for custom framing in Querétaro, and really it is just a great addition to your house and will really make your space feel like your own. Don't forget to head to the link in the description and grab your free copy of the Move to Mexico Quick Start Guide. It's got my top tips for apartment hunting in Mexico, plus a really handy renting in Spanish cheat sheet. You can ask any potential landlord if the property is amueblado, furnished, and find out what the heck you're getting yourself into. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up because that really helps to support my channel. I'm Alex from backpackingbrunette.com. Thanks for watching.